The Justice Department announcing that a Somali national in Minnesota has now been charged with kidnapping and raping a 15-year-old girl and an adult woman. The DOJ says this happened between 2017 and this year, and in between, Attorney General Palenty says he assaulted at least 3 other women. Minnesota is home to 84,000 Somalis. The majority of them are now American citizens. The latest news from the DOJ on this comes as President Trump sets his sights on this particular group, part of a new immigration crackdown, not just targeting violent crime, but also fraud. The president alleging Minnesota has become a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity.
These Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They have destroyed Minnesota, okay? Minnesota, you have an incompetent governor. You have a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell, but he's incompetent. Walz he should be ashamed. That beautiful land, that beautiful state, it's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country.
All right, here now, former Minnesota Republican Governor Tim Palenty. Governor, thank you as always. In your time as governor of the state of Minnesota, what was your experience with the Somali community, the immigrants who have arrived, becoming U.S. citizens, and now hearing allegations of fraud?
Well, in terms of recent events, Marni, there is a massive amount of fraud that's unfolded in Minnesota. Over 80 people have been charged criminally for that fraud, and the vast majority of them, almost all of them, are in fact Somali. So we don't want to stigmatize any group because they belong to a ethnic group or another group, but we also don't want to excuse illegal behavior or misconduct because they're in that group. And there's been some of that in allegations that certain public officials looked the other way or took the charges in the early days lightly and didn't stop this fraud or get on it earlier. And so the Somali refugees in Minnesota, most of them, as your slide just mentioned, are citizens. And so you can't just deport them, but to the extent some of them are still looking to come here or on green cards or visas, and they engage in misconduct, that may be grounds for deportation or having them not come in the first place.
President Trump clearly critical of Governor Walz. What do you make of his handling of these fraud cases over the last few years?
There's no question, Marni, that the early signals around this fraud were ignored or people looked the other way. And there has been, at the very least, a delay in addressing it. And the administration, the people who are appointed to oversee these agencies, have to be held accountable. There's no doubt that billions of dollars of fraud took place. There's no doubt that the agencies were negligent in how they supervised or checked, or in this case, didn't check for fraud, and nobody was fired. It went on for years, and there's just massive mismanagement with respect to these allegations and charges. And I think ultimately Governor Walz has to be accountable for that. You
talk about one group being stigmatized, and certainly you have to go after those who have broken the law. How do you reconcile the fear of people in Minnesota, of the Somali community, who say they haven't done anything wrong and they feel unsafe or threatened because of the president's language calling them garbage?
That is a danger of stigmatizing any ethnic group, any racial group, any religious group. And I don't think we want to start having those kinds of words applied to whole groups. We should focus, as Martin Luther King said, not just on the color of a person's skin, but the content of their character. And for those who engaged in misconduct and illegal behavior, the full force of the law should come down on them. But we shouldn't stigmatize whole groups. Minnesota does have an unusual situation in that we have a refugee nonprofit community that's abnormally or unusually active. For example, Lutheran Social Services is one of them. And people ask, well, why are there so many Somalis in Minnesota, a small state? And it's because these refugee nonprofits have been hyperactive in welcoming them or attracting them or recruiting them to come to Minnesota. And some of the Somalis say they came in part because of Minnesota's very generous welfare benefits.
And are they predominantly in the Twin Cities, or is this spread across the state? Is there much data on that?
Yes, there is. And they initially and still are predominantly in the Twin Cities, but that they have moved in concentrated form to cities like St. Cloud, which is a regional center an hour and a half north of the Twin Cities, and some other regional centers across the state as well.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.